Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. Articles for you in this episode, and all the URLs are in the description of the video for your convenience. The first one here is off of Natural News, and it says, Oil Pipelines versus Rail Transport. On spills versus safety point to a clear winner. First days in office, President Donald Trump reversed course on former President Obama's policies regarding the Keystone XL and Dakota Access pipelines. Signing executive actions. I could sing. Okay, signing executive actions that will once again move those energy infrastructures forward, as he pledged he would do during his campaign. The decisions are once again major disagreements with environmental groups and Native American communities that had opposed pipelines. In large part, pipelines are inherently risky and dangerous because of the frequent leaks. A CNBC is typical of the kind of coverage given to this topic, focusing only on pipeline spills, which of course do happen, but in reality, via pipeline the most dangerous route, or is transporting oil over the road. As Trump plans to move forward with the new pipelines, we thought we'd take a look at the facts, statistics ourselves, so our readers are well informed on this issue. 2016, EcoWatch reported that up 220 significant pipeline spills had occurred, along with the estimated 3,000 or so since 2006. From the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, HMSA, an arm of the U.S. Department of Transportation, the number of significant pipeline incidents grew 26.8% from 2006 to 2015. A significant incident is defined as one that results in serious injury or fatality, costs more than $50,000, 5 barrels of volatile fluids such as gasoline or 50 barrels of other liquids, or results in fire or explosion. There were 326 such incidents, almost one per day. But as bad as that sounds, hauling oil over America's aging railway system is even worse. As NBC News reported in 2014, trains spilled crude oil other years since the federal government began keeping records. The record number of spills sparked a fireball, polluted groundwater in Colorado, and destroyed a building in Pennsylvania, causing at least $5 million in damages and the loss of 57,000 gallons of crude oil. Of oil spilled, 2013 was the record year, with trains losing 1.4 million gallons of oil, more than the previous 40 years combined. Accidents waiting to happen, Larry Mann, a principal author of the landmark Federal Railroad Safety Act of 1970, told NBC News. Back in 1991, I said, one day a community is going to get wiped out. Well, in 2013, that happened, and unless something changes, it's going to happen again. In January of 2014, Canada's Global News reported that crude oil spills from trains are bigger than those from pipelines. Between January the 1st of 2006 and June 30th of 2013, almost one-third of all dangerous goods accidents on the road involved crude oil, much more than any other substance. But most of the 1,556 accidents in this time period happened while the vehicle was being loaded or unloaded, 645 or 41%. The same piece noted that transporting oil by tractor-trailer involved the fewest number of accidents, but that expert noted the preference oil via pipelines. Pipelines are buried underground and thus are not subject to traffic, weather conditions, and aging rail lines. What's more, experts said, a pipeline is much cheaper, meaning consumers pay less money for oil-based products ranging from gasoline to consumer products. Determining which shipping method is worse, that depends on the metric of the damage. Property damage, damage to the environment, destruction, that changes the dynamic considerably. According to this article in the oilprice.com, transporting oil by rail is by far the most dangerous, but trucks present special dangers too in transporting an oil byproduct. Nearly all gasoline sold in the U.S. travels at some point by truck. Pipelines are damaging too, and can leak for months or years without anyone knowing. A ship presents its own challenges too, and in fact is rated worse when we're talking about environmental damage. And estimates that 70% of all oil is transported by a pipeline. A massive amount. Multiple sources have noted that generally it is the safest, most efficient, and cost-effective way to transport the very resource that powers our economy. Next article I have for you, GOP, thedailydose.com. Cooperate with me. Here we go. Malia Obama. Malia makes first political statement. Former first daughter takes on Trump's Dakota Access Pipeline plan. Barack and Michelle Obama aren't the only ones who are making their voices heard even after they left the White House. 18-year-old Malia Obama is a Standing Rock Solidarity event at Sundance Film Festival, taking a stand against the construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline, are concerned not only about the pipeline running through sacred and historical sites, but because it could also potentially threaten the water source of the Sioux tribe. Have been protesting against the Dakota Access Pipeline construction for a number of reasons over the past year, including its heavy environmental consequences and that it touches Native American land. The administration worked hard to block both the Dakota Access Pipeline and the Keystone XL pipeline's construction, but now, in President Donald Trump's first weeks in office, he has already made moves to reverse Obama's work. Democracy Now! Spoke with actress Shailene Woodley, who has found hope in Malia Obama, who attended a Sundance event in solidarity with Standing Rock against the EAPL on Monday. And the insert says, "It was incredible to see Malia there," Woodley said, "to witness a human being and a woman coming into her own family and outside of the attachments that this country has on her, but someone who's willing to participate in democracy because she chooses to, because she recognizes, regardless of her last name, that if she doesn't participate in democracy, there will be no world for her future children." 6. Malia has been spotted at several film screenings this week as part of the Sundance Film Festival. She also turned for Harvey Weinstein. So there you have. The next one we have here is off of patriotchronicle.com, and it says, perfectly describes the Democratic Party in just 75 words. And here's your quote. "If you are taught bitterness and anger, then you will believe you are a victim. Aggrieved, and the twin brother of an aggrievement is entitlement. So now you think you are owed something and you don't have to work for it. You're on a really bad road to nowhere because there are people who will play to that sense of victimhood, aggrievement, and entitlement, and you still won't have a job." On spot. If Rice was the Secretary of State during the Obama administration, we would probably be closer to defeating ISIS, and the Middle East would probably have been turned into a cauldron of turmoil. And there's an update to this. It says, we have had a few people ask about this quote and whether it was authentic. Since this quote has been shared repeatedly, most searches simply turn up other people sharing the quote from a 2012 fundraiser in Utah. America has never had a narrative of grievance. We've never believed I am doing poorly because you are doing well, she said. The moment we began to believe because someone else is doing well, that moment that aggrievement takes over. For his twin brother comes behind entitlement. This seems very similar to the above quote and also uses the same narrative device of the twin brothers of aggrievement and entitlement. That said, the quotes have a fairly similar message, but are slightly different. So it could be in a different setting where she was discussing this same theme. She said the above quote. But at this point, we have no proof either way. Regardless, both of these are great quotes that discuss problems with the entitlement mentality. You have that. The next one that we have here is a little update on a story that I did yesterday morning about the teacher that had the squirt gun shooting at the Trump and yelling "die." It says Dallas teacher suspended over video showing water gun assassination of President Trump. And this is off of patriotchronicle.com. It says was placed on administrative leave Thursday afternoon after a video showing her firing a water gun at an image of President Trump and yelling "die" was widely shared on social media and conservative news sites. Today, we were made aware that social media posting involving a teacher at W.H. Adamson High School, the Dallas Independent School District said in a statement. The Dallas Morning News reported. Been placed on administrative leave and the district has opened an investigation. This is a personnel matter and as such we cannot comment. The teacher, identified as reportedly posted the video on her personal Instagram account. Watching the in my classroom like no, stop, denial, squirt gun, hypocrisy, powerless, which are all hashtags, she reportedly wrote before deleting her account entirely. Video showed a woman yelling "die" and repeatedly shooting a blue water gun at a video of Mr. Trump, which was being projected onto a whiteboard. Jr., who said she was in Miss Modi's second period class during the stunt, told a CBS News affiliate that it was a joke. Well, when you threaten the President of the United States, that's not considered a joke. That you have to draw the line on. The next one here is off of France24.com, and it says GM moving more than 600 jobs from Canada to Mexico. Okay, let's see this. 625 jobs from a plant in Canada that makes popular crossover utility vehicles to Mexico, the Canadian Auto Workers Union said on Friday. The move comes less than a year after GM expanded the Canadian plant. The layoffs at the GM plant in Ingersoll, Ontario, which produces Equinox and Terrain models, are that show why NAFTA is a terrible deal for the Canadian jobs. In a statement of the North American Free Trade Agreement. It's another example of how page jumped on me. Hang on. Okay, it is another example of how good jobs are being shifted out of Canada for cheaper labor in Mexico, Unifor President Jerry Dias said. The announcement example of everything wrong with NAFTA. It must be renegotiated, he added. It is imperative that we have trade rules that help ensure good jobs in Canada. NAFTA has linked Canada and Mexico since U.S. President Donald Trump has vowed to reinvigorate the deal if import duties on foreign-made cars sold in the United States. That we have here is off of foxnews.com, and it says scam has police urging people to hang up immediately. Sure, most everybody has received these calls. If you haven't, I am going to be shocked because I get them all the time. Hang up, but here's how the article reads. Can you hear me? Police in several states are urging people to avoid answering this simple question from a phone number they do not know. They say the question is aimed at getting unsuspecting victims to say yes and answer the PIN records as a way to authorize charges on a phone, utility, or credit card bill. A variation of one that began late last year, according to law enforcement. You say yes, it gets recorded, and they say that you have agreed to something. Of Consumer Protection and Privacy for the Consumer Federation of America told CBS News. It's impossible to hang up, but it's a good strategy. The Pittsburgh Better Business Bureau reported in October that it was receiving consumer complaints citing unsolicited automated calls from an employee of an agency, cruise line, or social security firm. In those phone calls, scammers were using phrases like house, or do you pay the household telephone bills, or are you the homeowner? Are now being reported in Virginia, with criminals asking the question, can you hear me? As a familiar area code. Officer Joanne Hughes with the Norfolk Police Department told WTKR-TV, Hughes told the station, warning that those on the receiving end should hang up the phone immediately. Scammers will play back the person's verbal confirmation and threaten to take legal action if they try to deny the charges. A lot of times, victims do not want to come forward because they are embarrassed. They feel like it was my fault. I should have known better. By it altogether, so we do not get a whole lot of reports, unfortunately, Hughes told the station. You know, I have a habit. Somebody says, ask if Brenda on answering the phone, and I'll say, who wants to know? Or you got her. My most famous one is, what do you want? Right off the bat, if they're having to ask if it's me, then it's somebody that I don't know, and they better have a good reason for disturbing me. But hey, that's just me. And usually it doesn't go on past another 5 or 10 seconds before I just hang up the phone. But when you get old and cantankerous like me, you do things like that. Oh boy. Well, with that said, I got more news for you, so I'll bring you another episode here in a little bit. And if you like what I'm doing, give it a thumbs up. Let me know on your social media so that everybody gets to hear the news. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you click that little bell next to the subscription button and check the box, you'll get email alerts every time I do a show. Entertained. I'll talk to you later.